Won't you please come join me for some midnight therapy? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midnight Therapy. I'm your host, Kat Matthews. I am here today on this Sunday to give you a very brief episode. Not much to talk about in the news recap, so I'm just going to do pretty much this one big story that we have to touch on. I had to do it. I was going to skip a week, maybe do it midweek, but I feel like we have to talk about this topic. So we will, and I'll give you a little bit of a life recap as always, but going to be a short episode. If that disappoints some of you, I'm sorry. There's a lot of other episodes you can go rewatch. This is 44. Episode 44. We don't even have 44 subscribers. That's bad. There are more episodes than there are subscribers. And I take time out of my busy life to do this show every week. You know, no one comments. It's sad. But it's not going to get me down. They'll come. If you build it, they'll come. That's what I believe. This show's going to take off any day now. We have the grotesque holiday portrait series Rabbit behind us, The Rabbit Man. That's the title because Easter's coming up. Please enjoy that. Had to swap out the leprechaun, even though it feels like we had a 2-month span of St. Patrick's Day. It is finally over. We went to a car lot this weekend, or a dealership, me and Christy, and we were looking at a new car. Christy was leasing a Wrangler, a Jeep Wrangler for many years, and the lease will be ending in 2026. So we were looking at our options. We have a baby on the way, so we didn't know if a Jeep Wrangler would be the best car for a baby. It's a little high, to get in and out of. So we looked around and wow, everything I thought about car dealerships is true times a million. They are horrible places. I hope you never have to go to one. Very soulless. Everybody there is like a con man. Very desperate. They don't love their job. You could tell they have to fake every interaction they have. Their job is faking interactions. Whether it's lying to you about the reliability of a car, the quality of a car, or telling you that it doesn't matter that you have a 300 credit score, it'll be fine. The loan, like 30% interest isn't that bad. Anything to make a sale, whether it's offering you the stale coffee or the stale muffins that are prepackaged, they'll do it. And I have no business being at a car lot or a dealership ever because that's not me. I went for moral support with Christy and listened and pretended and went, oh, nice. That's nice. Even though every car looked like plastic crap, even though every car looked the same, you could look at a Hyundai or a Cadillac, and if you didn't know the badge, like if the badge were covered, you could not tell the difference. Same crappy, universal, easy design. They all look the same, from taillights to door panels to everything is the same. They all have, I guess, 80% plastic trim or vinyl, whatever you want to call it. Windshields look the same. The mirrors, everything looks the same. Plastic grill, all junk. The inside looks the same. Plastic junk with a screen. And people go, ooh, Apple CarPlay. Ugh. And it smells. They have that new car smell that really smells like paint from Lowe's. Next time you go to a dealership and you take a whiff of a new car, it smells like paint. It smells like when you open a can of house paint. And that alone makes people take out a 5-year, $50,000 loan to drive a piece of plastic around. That loses its value the minute it drives off the lot. Anywho, I don't belong there because I drive a 25-year-old beast of a machine from a different time. It's a 2001 Ford Explorer. I also drove a 1999 Mercury Mountaineer, which was the same car, just with a Mercury badge. It's a Ford Ranger frame. Same shit they used on the Model T. Leaf springs in the back. Simple. You could work on these vehicles. There was no computers. There was a very, I guess, archaic computer in it. Very simple computer. It would throw a few codes, check engine, ABS. That was it. There was no screen in the car. Turnstile, mileage gauge, the actual needles for the oil pressure, the battery. There was nothing digital. Nothing digital in this car. It had it still does. I'm talking like I don't have it anymore. It's my daily driver. Has a tape deck and a CD option. That's it. So I plug the tape deck auxiliary cord, accessory in every day, in which I put a dongle on to connect to my iPhone. And I play 80s hair metal through the tape deck on my 2001 Ford Explorer. It is also lifted a substantial amount on very large tires and rims. Has a dual exhaust, straight pipe, V8 with moon visor with the Ember lights that work. Top rack, full fold down seats, making it a 10-foot bed in the back, essentially. Very cool truck. People that drive stuff like that, like me, that aren't willing to let go, that like not having a car payment, even though it breaks down every day or every other day, probably every other week, to be honest. There's something wrong with it every other week. Some problems are manageable, some aren't. Some great people have said duct tape or tape in general fixes a lot of things. It fixed my exhaust on that truck. It fixed the headliner. It covers the check engine light. Out of sight, out of mind. Anywho, people like me and people that think that way don't really belong on a car lot, Because when you are used to having a cool car or vehicle with bullhorns on the front with no car payment, it's hard to then downgrade to a car that looks just like every other car, is made of plastic, and costs $50,000. That's a lot to sell to someone like me. I showed up in cowboy boots. They knew. You could tell they knew. They didn't even bother with me. I said, I'm just with her. They went, we get it. And then that was it. But just wanted to say how terrible of an experience it was. I really have no solution. I'm going to have to get a new car eventually. And I'll probably, succumb to the pressures of life and get some type of car payment. Or maybe I'll just lease. I don't know. But what a terrible experience it was. Nice people, I guess. It's just a terrible industry we live in. The age of planned obsolescence and mass consumerism. And once your car becomes 2 years old, it's not fixable. Just get a new one. That's the leasing culture. That's also financing. We'll trade it in. We'll give you half of what you paid, and we'll transfer the negative equity over to your next car, and then you just pay that. Okay, at least it's a 2025, and that's the junk world we live in now. Back in the day, you could fix anything. You could buy a $500 used car and get to point A to point B. It's not that world anymore, sadly. This guy was talking about options. There was thousands of dollars increase for a few little upgrades, like a remote starter. And I said, well, don't worry about that. We could just add a remote starter later. Like you could add a remote start to any car. He goes, oh, you can't add them anymore. They put a feature that won't let you add them anymore. See what I'm saying? They're doing this on purpose. Like the back of your iPhone is glass. Do you ever wonder why it's not metal? Because glass breaks so much easier than metal. They want your phone to break, and they know it's not fixable. You could buy the insurance. You could buy, what do they call it? Apple Care. Apple Care. You could even buy it through your provider, your network provider, like Verizon. You can buy Verizon insurance. If that phone breaks, it's not fixable. They tell you it's fixable. You go to Geek Squad or whatever. You go to an Apple store. They won't fix it. They go, oh, we can't fix it. I had a camera lens break once. They go, oh, we can't fix it. You got to get a whole new one. It's all intentional. Disposable society is what we created. And cars are no different. Brief news recap. We're probably going to go to war, some type of war, hot or cold war with Iran now. We just the U.S. deployed the second aircraft carrier over there. Not good. Keep an eye on that. I don't care enough to talk anymore about that, but I just want you to have it in your mind that it might happen. If it gets any worse, we'll talk about it. And the Tesla vandalism that's going on. Everybody is going insane, I guess. Everybody is going insane, and that's fine. But you got dealerships and people's personal vehicles getting targeted by, I don't even know who these people are. They seem like the type of people that throw paint on oil paintings, or they throw oil on like a masterwork at a museum, and they sit in front of it and go, stop oil, stop using oil. Like some Renaissance painter using oil paint is even remotely aware that you exist and that you believe oil is bad for the environment. And you think oil paint on a painting from 500 years ago is going to change that somehow? Like, what if they just took the Mona Lisa down, took it out of the frame, and shredded it? Would that make them happy? Would that fix the world? Is the world even broke? Does it even need to be fixing? And are you going to fix it? The people that don't go to work and have time to go destroy someone's vehicle for God knows what reason? Because you hate Elon Musk? Here's what people need to understand. When you have these opinions, you gotta have one. You gotta have one stance. You can't be both. Is Musk an idiot that doesn't have anything to do with Tesla? I heard that. They go, he didn't even design the cars. He inherited the company. He doesn't even run SpaceX. He just bought the company, and other smart people do the work for him. It's one or the other. If Musk doesn't run Tesla and isn't designing the cars, then why are you destroying the cars? He has nothing to do with it. You know? I don't know. Just pick a side and stop being dumb. Like, what if, I don't know, what if during a presidential administration there was a company that was responsible for the largest criminal lawsuit of all time? They had to pay a fine, the largest fine ever paid by a company that maybe produces drugs and medicine. What if they were sued? I don't know what this company would be called for withholding evidence and throwing some evidence and research under the rug and pushing it through, even though they knew some medication was addicting, and they still distributed it to the public anyways, and it caused a epidemic, maybe an opioid epidemic. And then we let them create vaccines for, I don't know, a pandemic. And maybe there were some vaccine injuries. What if those people then went to Rite Aid and started destroying the Rite Aid? Think about that. You carry the COVID shots here, and I had a vaccine injury. And you just start spray painting the Rite Aid or the CVS. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably a better cause than destroying the Teslas, to be honest. And I was trying to be facetious. Anyways, that's where we are. It's the state of affairs. Because of Musk's connection to Trump, these activists are now destroying people's cars. Can you imagine? Hey, look, there's one. They take out the paint, spray it, and kick it, and break the windows. And you, the owner of the Tesla, come out of the Sam's Club, and you go, "What the hell?" You know, crazy world. That's about it for politics. Now to the real story. This is a story we should all care about, but nobody cares about. Um, I do. And if you're a fan of the show, you probably will also. I'm a big fan of ancient Egypt. I mentioned it many times before. The sarcophagus behind me gives you a hint that I do have a little bit of a fascination of Egypt. I have two sarcophagi. There's another one here in the studio that's never on in frame, but I do have two. I have a lot of other Egypt stuff, and I study Egypt all the time, and I have for many years. I also study, let's say, not peer-reviewed Egypt, like Ancient Aliens, or the work of Graham Hancock, or the podcast of Joe Rogan, or many other things that some would call conspiracy theory. And the big one, the one in which I ranted at local bars for years, I would bring this up. I'd bring it up getting my beard trimmed. I'd bring it up as small talk at a viewing for someone who had passed away. I'd bring it up everywhere and anywhere I could. That ancient Egypt and the Great Pyramids were actually power plants and not tombs. For certain, they were not tombs. And I even think mainstream archaeology and anthropology would agree that they were not tombs. Now, were they used as tombs? Possibly, yes. Repurposed, reused as tombs? Yeah. Was the original intent of their design to be tombs? I don't think so. And I don't really know how people could think so. We have found tombs. King Tut's tomb, the most famous archaeological discovery of all time, possibly, looked nothing like a pyramid. It was an underground, sealed tight tomb with lots of instruction and lots of artifacts found within it explaining what was happening, that this was a tomb. You know what I'm saying? Those, there's no evidence that they would be tombs. There's no hieroglyphics that explain their construction. There's no hieroglyphs found in them that talk about what pharaoh or king was buried in them. It's just not adding up to a tomb. You know, in the king's chambers, they call it, there's nothing except a box that they're calling a sarcophagus, but looks nothing like the other sarcophagus we have seen. It's just a box made of granite, one of the heaviest, hardest rocks on the planet. So good. Let's jump all over here. They have discovered this technology. They've been implementing it for the past 20 years, 30 years or so. LiDAR. Graham Hancock talks about it a lot. They surveyed the Amazon rainforest with it, and they found these ginormous structures, foundations of what appear to be temples and stairs that sort of proves the theory that there was an ancient, very prosperous city in the Amazon, a city of gold, an advanced civilization, maybe, that certain explorers from the old world wrote about and talked about in the past. So this LiDAR scan, it's like a scan that can see through the trees, see through the ground, see what's buried, sort of like an X-ray of the earth, is showing all that and has been for quite a while now. So now let's fast forward to the news story. They did this tomography scan. No, don't cite me again. I'm not a scientist. I'm just giving you the news. I'm also not a journalist, and I'm not a therapist licensed. But they did this scan, which is similar to LiDAR, uses cosmic, radiation scanning or something. Either way, they found these ginormous structures underneath the pyramids, especially the Great Pyramid in Giza. There are these coiled chambers, several of them, that go 4,000 feet in the ground. Now, just really let this sink in. It detected these unknown cavities and structures that we've never known about, that Egypt never knew about, Egyptologists never knew about. And they are under the Great Pyramid, and they go down into these even larger rooms. They appear to be rooms. They appear to be right angles, square rooms. and these cylinders have coils going up them. And this goes 4,000 feet underground. If you think for a minute that that has something to do with a tomb, I don't know what to tell you. Now, you don't have to immediately say these were power plants and the ancient Egyptians had Wi-Fi, because I think, as fun as that theory is, it's a little much without evidence. But what I do want you to say is maybe we don't know as much as we think we know, and maybe they aren't tombs. Maybe they aren't tombs. We know that they were cased in this beautiful polished white limestone, and they had gold capstones on the top. We know that. We know that they stood the test of time for how long, and they're near perfect. They're near perfect precision geometry. We have no idea how they did it. We have no idea how they moved the stones. Let's be honest. Not to mention even building such a thing. We have no idea how they even moved a stone, nevertheless placed the stones. You have this precise geometry. You have granite, you have quartz, you have all this stuff going on. Who knows what was going on? Maybe there was some electricity being produced through the natural frequencies of a pyramid shape. Maybe the water flowing nearby or underneath. Who knows? But stop pretending you know. Stop pretending that one king ordered these things to be built and that they were built in his lifetime just for him to be buried in it, just for him to put his dead body in a room in this thing. Not even close. We have no idea how they were built to this day. They for sure were recycled as some type of tomb, I assume. There's definitely lost technology of an advanced civilization going on here. Before these caverns were even discovered, we had no idea how they built these things. Now we really don't know. Nevertheless, building a pyramid that large, how did you clear the ground underneath to build these chambers? And how long did that take? Then how did you roof them with a giant foundation to hold the pyramid? And then how did you build the pyramid? How did you move the rocks? How did you cut the rocks so precisely? I don't care if you have 1,000,000 people at your disposal. It's not just brute workers doing this. These are master craftsmen, and you're talking you would need thousands or millions of them, and not to mention the power to move these rocks, especially the granite stones, which is unfathomable. There is a granite stone that weighs 70 tons. There's a bunch of them that weigh 70 tons, but the one in particular weighs 70 tons. It's in the Great Pyramid in the King's Chamber, and it's perfectly cut. Do you know that there was the largest modern stone ever moved was 340 tons? We know that. And it took this massive custom made trailer. And this was an unshaped stone. Look this up. I hope I'm getting it right. And this stone is now at the LA Museum of Art. And it was this unworked stone. So it's just a natural stone, not carved, nothing. But it took shutting down all these roads, having police escorts, and this custom trailer with all these giant trucks pulling it, multiple trucks, moving at like 1 mile an hour. It took 9 days to move. And do you know in Egypt there are stones that weigh 3 times that were carved into pharaohs, like artistically carved in sculpture, and they were moved and erected upright? It took 9 days with modern technology to move an uncrafted stone in modern times with all the modern technology we have. And you're telling me they were rolling stones on logs and placing them with pulleys, and they were a Bronze Age society? Are you kidding? And now with it was already unbelievable, and Ancient Aliens was kind of right. But now it's even more unbelievable because now there's even more going on underneath them. Deep, too, 4,000 feet underneath. I mean, like Washington and all these other Freemasons were obsessed with the Egyptians. Nikola Tesla, he had a paid journey. One of his investors, I don't know if it was JP Morgan or one of those bigwig guys, paid for Tesla to go to Egypt and study the pyramids because Tesla believed it had something to do with electricity. And he believed there was like the golden ratio, the numbers 369 hold the key to the universe. And he went out there and studied them for a while and came back and had all this literature written about it that Donald Trump's uncle went through and decided there was nothing, which we talked about on another podcast a while ago. Either way, there's some weird stuff going on in Egypt. There's always been. They were definitely an advanced civilization, and this only adds to it. I love seeing this stuff in the mainstream news, and I love people, the NPCs, they look at it and they go, oh, whatever. They don't even realize what they're reading, and then they're like, oh, look who broke up with who in the tabloids. My favorite TikToker is breaking up with the food vlogger. How tragic. Like, that's where we are. So this will be already old news in a few hours. So I just wanted to tell you, if you are paying attention to that stuff, pretty big discovery. Pretty big to see that in the mainstream news again. A little bit of ancient Egypt in the news. Who knows what that'll prove? Who knows what anything would prove? JFK files didn't really show anything. They could expose everything and no one would, they would care for a minute and then it'd be old news. Nobody cares. It's the past. Who cares? So just wanted to let you know before it's forgotten in about 3 seconds. That's pretty much all I have to say. We'd like to get to 40 subscribers. That's the new goal. 40 subscribers ASAP, 50 for 50. Before I get to the 50th episode, I'd like there to be 50 subscribers. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask? This episode is brought to you in part by Jack's Pub and Eatery and Three Saints Barber Shop, located in historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania. Mike the Barber is a big Egypt guy as well. Might have him on to talk a little bit more about this and some other conspiracy theories that have been brought to my attention lately. It's funny that the conspiracy theorists are usually like sometimes right. You ever notice that? But they never receive an apology. They just still get called conspiracy theorists. Like if I was at a party and I was like, the ancient Egyptians may have had advanced technology. They go, oh, what a goofball. But then this article comes out, and this news story, and then they never say sorry. They never go, I understand why you bought 2 sarcophagus for your house. Christie will never say, wow, that was a good purchase. I'm sorry. I should have let them stay in the living room where you originally wanted them to be. They make great decor. I'll never hear that. And all the other people that knew will never hear that. I don't know why they use these disparaging terms like conspiracy theorists. What happened to just being inquisitive, using the scientific method, being curious, questioning the norm and the status quo? I don't know where that went away. But I will always do that. And now we are getting a little bit of satisfaction. So with that being said, stay curious, my friends. Good night.